Welcome back to Walls of Horror, and my name is Charlie Walls. I'm a horror author, and today I'm doing sort of a sequel video to a previous one that I did, or that I previously recorded. At the time of recording, it's not out yet, so we'll see. Previously, I did a 3 random horror books off of my shelf video. I just pulled 5 minutes before sitting down and recording. I pulled 3 off. I sat down and I talked about my memories of them, and I'm doing a sort of similar thing today, except I do have 3 horror nonfiction books, 3 nonfiction books that deal with the horror genre that I pulled off. So I'm going to go through them real quick. Before I do, do the YouTube stuff, thumbs up, thumbs down, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. As I said, I'm a horror author. I do regularly post short horror stories to my Substack that you can read for free. The link is always in the description. So I'm going to get to the first one, and the first one is the Mammoth Book of Slasher Movies. The author of that is Peter Normanton. I did not know that name, but yeah. The Mammoth Book of Slasher Movies. And this cover is the, I think it's 2013 or 2009 Friday the 13th reboot. But this is a cool book. It's a cool book, but it's a largely like out of date now, or only because obviously they've made movies since this came out, but also there are so many like databases on the internet. A lot of times it would be easier to Google stuff, but I do think books like this are cool. I'm gonna show why now. At the start and at the end, there are like some, I'll show the table of contents. Now there are some essays about the slasher genre, but the bulk is made up by a big section called an A to Z of slasher and splatter movies. And so what that is, I will show you. Right, so they kind of have a quick write-up. It goes, let's say, it goes in alphabetical order, where they have the title of a movie, and then they have a few facts about it, and then there is a short little essay about it. Usually sometimes about the director or actors or the process of making it, sometimes about the plot itself, and sometimes as well as the reception. They do have, I guess, blood splatters, so a bay of blood would be 4 out of 5 blood splatters, and you can go all the way through it. They do have, like, they were very liberal with their definition of what a slasher is. Like, for instance, here it's Curtains. I would consider that a slasher, but then they also have Dawn of the Dead. I don't know too many people that would call that a slasher. There are a lot of zombie movies in here. There are also a lot of like the cannibal movies from the 80s they have in here, as well as the giallo, the Italian giallo movies that largely predate a lot of slashers, which I feel like you can definitely. I'm much more easily convinced that giallos are slashers. As a shorthand in my mind, I think of them as Italian slashers. But there are definitely differences in the genres. But I don't know that the cannibal movies and the zombie movies should be in here. But it is interesting to read. All the essays are cool. I did, at the time I got it, I went straight through it reading, a couple sections a day. And so I do like the essays. There are a few other things here on the back. What does it say? Yeah, and it does talk about, like at the back, it's like director, blood on their hands, and it goes alphabetical order by the director's last name. This first little essay is Dario Argento. So this is a really cool book. Like I said, reference books like these I really like to have, but I suppose the internet has in some ways made them obsolete. But again, the little nonfiction essays about them are cool. Alright, so this next one is actually about writing horror. It is On Writing Horror, and this was, I believe, put together by the HWA. Yep, edited by Mort Castle, a handbook by the Horror Writers Association. And so this just has different essays written by writers on various topics as far as writing horror. For instance, the one I just opened to is titled The Madness of Art, and it is written by Joyce Carol Oates. I know there's one by Jack Ketchum in here. There's an essay by Ramsey Campbell. There's also something by Harlan Ellison, Nancy Kilpatrick, Weston Oates, Lisa Morton, Yvonne Navarro, Tom Piccirilli. If you watched my last my 3 random books video, I did talk about the novel titled The Night Class by Tom Piccirilli. He has an essay in here. So yeah, this is a very interesting book. If I'm being honest, there's nothing really in here that I felt like made me a better horror writer. It's just an interesting read. A lot of writing tips I find to just be bullshit, honestly. Long story short, probably the best writing tip you can have is to write every day you can and to read every day you can and submit your work and put your work out there, and then you get feedback. You get feedback from readers, you get feedback from editors. They tell you what works, what doesn't. A lot of tips, books, and courses and things like that sort of exist to help the writer or the teacher of that service to make a little bit extra money so they can continue to be a full-time writer. So I find stuff like that interesting. If there are authors that I like to see what they think and read their essays. But as far as like actual practical advice, there's usually very little that I found that really helps. A lot of writing, aside from like grammar and stuff, a lot of it is like experience based and also sort of individual based, right? Like your writing process might not work for me and it might work for him and not over here at her. So yeah, that is On Writing Horror, revised edition. Like I said, a very cool book. I really like the essays. I really like a lot of the writers in here. But again, reading that will not make you Stephen King. At least it has not helped me yet. So we'll see. So the third one I have actually deals with one of my favorite writers, probably my favorite horror writer. And so this is Dissecting Cthulhu, Essays on the Cthulhu Mythos, edited by S.T. Joshi. So Joshi is probably the foremost Lovecraft scholar in the world. So yeah, he's probably the foremost Lovecraft scholar in the world. And there are, like I said, essays from all sorts of people. There's several from Robert M. Price, who is also a very good Lovecraft scholar. Richard L. Tierney, Steve Mariconda. Let's see some other names I recognize. Yeah, it goes. I'll hold up the first page of the TOC so you can kind of see some titles of some of the essays. I don't actually know if I've read this one all the way through. I just pick it up I have throughout the years. Every once in a while I'll pick it up and read an essay or two. Find it very interesting. And I actually won this in a giveaway from the Lovecraft E-Zine. It's a website / podcast. They have a YouTube channel, so you can check out the Lovecraft E-Zine. And they do book giveaways. And I won this probably, 12 years ago maybe. And this looks like it was put out by Miskatonic River Press. And I do not believe they're around anymore. So I don't know how hard it is to find this or if it's been reprinted by another press. Now, who would like this is if you're a Lovecraft nerd. If you're someone interested in Lovecraft, or you've read like 2 stories, or you're just getting into horror, this would not be interesting to you at all. A lot of it is very dry. A lot of it does really get into the nuts and bolts of you know, the stories of Lovecraft and like what he was thinking and writing and reading, and what he had read, how it influenced this story or that story or this facet of story, or maybe talks about how like this one thing pops up in several of his stories and stuff. So this is very deep, very nuts and bolts. This is only for someone who has read like every Lovecraft story and rereads it and is really deep and interested in it, I suppose. But it is if you are a Lovecraft nerd, it is a lot of fun. So yeah, those are my 3 horror nonfiction books. And like I said, I would use all of these as reference every once in a while, read an essay or so, rather than sit down and read them all the way through. So we have the Mammoth Book of Slasher Movies. On Writing Horror, On Writing Horror, Revised Edition. It's not the D edition, not the John D version. And then Dissecting Cthulhu, Essays on the Cthulhu Mythos. 3 nonfiction horror books. I don't know that I have enough nonfiction horror to do something like this again. I could definitely do horror fiction, and I could probably do a general nonfiction video like this. So let me know if you've read any of those books. If you if you have recommendations for other nonfiction books that deal with the horror genre, movies, books, writing. Yeah, I like all of it. Type it down in the comments. Let me know. Let everybody else know. Let me know what you think of this video. Either way, good or bad, that does wrap it up. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.